Welcome to Shorthand Study Classes. Get ready for the transcription for SSC students at the speed of 90. Start. Sir, given that the intent was not to package the code as a fresh opportunity for creditors and claimants who did not exercise their remedy under existing laws within the prescribed limitation period, the committee thought it fit to insert a specific section applying the Limitation Act to the code. The relevant entry under the Limitation Act may be on a case-to-case basis. It was further noted that the Limitation Act may not apply to applications of corporate applicants as these are initiated by the applicants for its own debts for the purpose of CIRP and are not in the form of a creditor's remedy. A perusal of the above would show that, considering that the Limitation Act applies only to courts unless made statutorily applicable to tribunals, the committee was of the view that such act should be made to apply to the IBC as well, observing that though the IBC is not a debt recovery law, the trigger being default in payment of debt would render the exclusion of the law of limitation counterintuitive. Thus, it was made clear that an application to the IBC should not amount to resurrection of time-barred debts which in any other forum would have been dismissed on the ground of limitation. From the above, it is clear that the principle of Section 9 of the Limitation Act is to be strictly adhered to, namely, that when time begins to run, it cannot be halted except by a process known to law. One question that arises before this court is whether Section 18 of the Limitation Act, which extends the period of limitation depending upon an acknowledgement of debt made in writing and signed by the corporate debtor, is also applicable under Section 238A, given the expression as far as may be governing the applicability of the Limitation Act to the IBC. The aforesaid question is no longer valid as to recent judgments of this court have applied the provisions of Section 14 and Section 18 of the Limitation Act to the IBC. Thus, in Sheshnath Singh VBD Cooperative Bank Limited Civil Appeal number 9000 of 2019, after setting out the issues that arose in that case in paragraph 57 and after referring to Section 238A of IBC, similarly under Section 18 of the Limitation Act, an acknowledgement of present subsisting liability made in writing in respect of any right claimed by the opposite party and signed by the party against whom the right is claimed has the effect of commencing a fresh period of limitation. It is at a level where there is a segment of our population which has not been able to benefit from the benefits of that growth process, and therefore when the president's address very enthusiastically mentions phrases of great achievements which have helped those sectors, the hard reality is that the sector is still underprivileged. There is also another segment which is an aspirational India where the aspirations are larger and understandably so, and therefore the mandate also reflects on the government desire and the electorate desire to really perform as far as these areas are concerned. Sir, I had said in the beginning as to what role we intend to play in any Westminster system. The conventional role of the opposition is to oppose, but in evolving and maturing democracy, this role has also evolved, and therefore, as I said, our principal object when we will be guided by national interest is how to strengthen the country. We have to strengthen this country in terms of making its borders secure. We have to strengthen this country in fighting terror within the country. We have to strengthen this country in our endeavor to help the government so that it can vanish all forms of poverty and sufferings. Para, we have to strengthen this country by even pursuing the goal of social justice. Now, these are several areas of strengthening the country. One of the principal desires of an aspirational India is to become a developed economy by 2020. Now, in each of these endeavors, there are areas where we will support the government. There are areas where we will caution the government, and there are certain areas where we will be required to fiercely oppose the government. And when I read and when I heard the Honorable President's address, I was little disappointed on one score. I did expect a mention, an emphatic mention of the manner in which racial attacks are being carried out against persons of the Indian origin in Australia. Now, this is something which is very current and contemporary, and any sensitive government which says within a sense of pride that we have millions of Indians in our diaspora living abroad and living all over the world would have been concerned with the plight of the Indian community, which is being subjected to such inhuman and racial attacks. I think it is an oversight as far as the address is concerned. So students, do practice at least 5 times.